والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Welcome back to our Risale reading series. We had 1 month break during the month of Ramadan. I hope you have had a good month of Ramadan. So everything is back to normal. We can eat, drink, and focus better. Right. Before the month of Ramadan, we plan to continue reading from the Flashes. It is the third book of RISALE-I NUR collection. Remember, it's the words, the letters, the flashes, and the rays. So this week and probably the following couple of sessions, we are going to focus on the 20th and 21st flashes from the book called The Flashes. This piece is about ikhlas, that is sincerity. Bediüzzaman really cared about this piece of his writing. And when we start studying, you're gonna see the opening message. It says, this piece must be read at least every 2 weeks. It was actually initially written more frequently. It was written, this piece must be read every day. But he thought, people won't read this every day, so let's make it at least every 2 weeks. It is kind of restarting your computer because I'm into IT, so I spend most of my time in front of computers. When things go wrong with your machine, the first thing you do, you switch it off and on again. So it just resets everything to default values and you're more likely to get rid of the problem you're having in the first place. In a sense, these two pieces of treatise on sincerity is a bit like switching and resetting yourself back to your factory settings, default settings, because throughout the day and throughout the weeks, you lose attention, you shift your attention into earthly matters. When you come back and read this, you think, oh, yeah, sorry, I got carried away. So it is very important, not my personal view, it is Bediüzzaman's own view. It is strange. It comes in two pieces. As I said, the 20th flash, which is kind of an introduction on sincerity and answers few questions around it. And on the second piece, which is the 21st flash, where he sets out do's and don'ts. He gives some solid guidance. Obviously, we can't cover everything in one go. We're gonna start with the 20th flash and see how far we can go. So without a further ado, let me share my screen, entire screen, probably share. Okay. So this is the 20th flash. In some translations, it's been translated as gleams. Don't get confused if you see gleams and flash used interchangeably. They both mean the same thing, lemalar. So this one is Mary Wells' translation, and she chose the word flush to mean lema. So flushes mean lemalar. So if you look on the left-hand side, I'll just give you a quick tour of the application I'm using. As always, we are using erisale.com. On the far right corner, up here, you have to choose English. So that's the first thing. So go to erisale.com, choose English, and as you can see, 5 books are available. Not all of them. This website lists 5 of them. So the third book is Flushes. I'm gonna scroll down. The 20th flush, which is on sincerity. If I open up the 21st flush, it is also on sincerity. Okay, again, don't get confused. The subject of sincerity, ikhlas, is covered in two different chapters. So we're gonna start off with the 20th flush. Another thing I wanted to do today, so far, we strictly stick to English, and I have realized not seeing any Quranic expressions in originals, kind of, we are missing that we are reading a Quranic explanation. So this is Tafsirul Quran, Bediüzzaman says. It is Quranic exegesis. So obviously, every chapter opens up with some Quranic verse or verses, and Bediüzzaman makes an argument around that Quranic verse. We said previously, unlike classical explanations of the Quran, Risale-I Nur doesn't follow the index order or chronological order. If you pick up Tafsir Ibn Kathir, for example, it starts from Surah Al-Fatiha, goes all the way 114 chapters and explains everything in the right order. Whereas Risale-I Nur, quite big, but it is a topical commentary. So Bediüzzaman talks about the importance of doing 5 daily prayers. So he grabs a Quranic verse and he builds his argument around that Quranic verse. Similarly, on sincerity, he builds his arguments around a Quranic verse and a hadith. Because, we are Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, so we build all our theology and philosophy on the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show the original Quranic verse. I'm going to recite it. Then I'm going to continue reading from the English text. So the 20th flush is on sincerity, and it opens up with this Quranic verse. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, the verse, verily we send the book down to you in truth, so worship God in sincerity. For God's is sincerely practiced religion. This is a Quranic verse. I'm going to show you the original verse, which is this. Surah Az-Zumar, Inna أنزلنا إليك الكتاب بالحق إنا أنزلنا إليك الكتاب بالحق فاعبدوا الله مخلصا. Okay, this is the word مخلصا, with ikhlas, with sincerity. So the chapter title comes from this Quranic verse. إنا أنزلنا إليك الكتاب بالحق فاعبدوا الله مخلصا له الدين ألا لله الدين الخالص. So this is the opening verse, which is this one. Verily, we sent in the book down to you in truth, so worship Allah in sincerity, for God's is sincerely practiced religion. Let's read the original verse once again, because if you are bilingual, like most of us, unless you read the original Quranic expression, you think, oh, what is this verse? I mean, how does it sound in original? But if you open up original, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ بِالْحَقِّ فَأَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصًا لَهُ الدِّينُ أَلَا لِلَّهِ الدِّينُ الْخَالِصِ. This is the Quranic verse. And also, the prophetic tradition, Prophet ﷺ said, all men, all people will perish. except the scholars. This is a very famous hadith, very famous saying of the Prophet ﷺ. All men will perish except the scholars, and all scholars will perish except those who act in accordance with their knowledge. And all of them will also perish except the sincere. And even the sincere are in great danger. So let's look at the original hadith in Arabic. هلك الناس إلا العالمون وهلك العالمون إلا العاملون وهلك العاملون إلا المخلصون والمخلصون على خطر عظيم. This is the original hadith from the sources shown here. So this is the hadith, and previously we talked about the Quranic verse. Right, let's start off with the first point. An important and awesome question. Why is it that while the worldly and the neglectful and even misguided and hypocrites cooperate without rivalry, the people of religion, the religious scholars, and those who follow the Sufi path oppose each other in rivalry, although they are the people of truth and concord? Agreement belongs in reality to the people of concord, and dispute to hypocrites. How is it that these two have changed places? Very good question, and very valid common question. You look at evil around the world and you realize completely unrelated people cooperate to cause harm to other people. You look at believers, you look at Muslims, you look at people of the book, religious people, they never come together to cooperate. There is always rivalry, competition. Looks quite terrible. And the question is, how come bad people cooperate, but good people of religion don't? Fantastic question. So let's see how Bediüzzaman answered this question almost 100 years ago. The answer: we will set forth 7 of the extremely numerous causes of this painful and disgraceful and awesome situation. One that causes the zealous to weep. The first cause why people of religion cannot cooperate and why people of misguidance they can cooperate. Just as dispute among the people of the truth does not arise from lack of the truth, so too the agreement prevailing among the people of neglect does not arise from any possession of truth. So Muslims do not cooperate not because what they believe is wrong. It's not that. They are right, and it's not the reason why they are not cooperating. When you look at people of misguidance, they are not cooperating because what they believe is right. So the source of cooperation and dispute is not the nature of what they believe. They believe something wrong and crazy, but they can still manage to cooperate. People of religion, they believe in right things, they believe in good things, but they don't cooperate. So the first conclusion is the absence of cooperation is not because what they believe in is incorrect. Rather, it is that a specific duty and particular function has been assigned to the classes in society, like the worldly, those engaged in politics, and those who have received a secular education, and thus the functions of the various groups, societies, and communities have been defined and become distinguished from one another. Similarly, the material reward they are to receive for their functions in order to maintain a livelihood, as well as the moral reward that consists in the attention they receive from men for the sake of their ambition and pride. This too is established and specified. There is therefore nothing held in common to the degree that it might produce conflict, dissension, and rivalry. However, evil be the path that they tread, they will be able to preserve unity and agreement. So, let's explain this. They are working on a project. Since everything they aim is worldly, they work towards it sincerely and they cooperate to achieve that. Because they know if they take part and contribute to the project, they can get a slice of that earthly gain. Let's put this into a context. Let's say you want to invade a country with some oil reserves. So this country says, right, we know it's wrong, but they are rich, they get a lot of oil. We are going to go in and take control of the country. So who is coming with me? Whoever joins in, they can get a slice of it. But in reality, they are in completely different camps. But the benefits, the earthly gain is common. They say, okay, if I take part in this evil act, I can get a slice of that. That's why they cooperate. This is people of misguidance. What about people of religion? But as for people of religion, the scholars and those who follow the path, the duty of each is concerned with all men. Their material reward is not set and specified, and their share in social esteem and acceptance and public attention is not predetermined. Okay, let's say you are a Muslim, there is another Sufi tradition or another section of your religion or another religion. When you cooperate, because your focus is not worldly, your focus is an eternal reward in the hereafter. So you just think, okay, what? So if I don't cooperate, because what I do is right, I'm gonna go on my own way, and there isn't anything that I can gain or lose which is measurable, because it's a spiritual reward and it is mainly in the hereafter. Hence, it is that conflict and rivalry arise, concord is changed into discord, and agreement into dispute. Now, the cure and remedy for this appalling disease is sincerity. Sincerity may be attained by preferring the worship of God to the worship of one's own soul, by causing God's pleasure to vanquish the pleasure of the soul and the ego, and thus manifesting the meaning of the verse, verily my reward is from God alone. In ecriye illa Allah. By renouncing the material and moral reward to be had from men, and thus manifesting the meaning of the verse, note is incumbent on the messenger but conveying the message. So let's quickly have a look at that verse as well. وَمَا عَلَى الرَّسُولِ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. The duty of a messenger is just to convey the message. And by knowing that such matters as goodly acceptance and making a favorable impression and gaining the attention of men are God's concern and a favor from him, and that they play no part in conveying the message, which is one's own duty, nor are they necessary for it, nor is one charged with gaining them. By knowing this, a person will be successful in gaining sincerity, otherwise, it will vanish. So let's summarize the first reason why people of misguidance cooperate and why people of belief dispute. The first statement, not that they are right, these are wrong, but because people of misguidance, when they cooperate, they can attain earthly gains, measurable, visible on this world. That's why they are motivated. Whereas people of religion, most of their expectation of reward is in the hereafter. But Bediüzzaman says it is possible to cooperate. The way to do that is attaining sincerity. So, ikhlas. Let's move on to the second cause. The agreement among people of misguidance is not on account of their abasement, and the dispute among the people of guidance is on their dignity. That's to say that people of neglect, those misguided ones, sunk in worldly concerns, are weak and abased because they do not rely on truth and reality. On account of their abasement, they need and augment their strength, and because of this need, they wholeheartedly embrace the aid and cooperation of one another. Even though the path they follow is misguidance, they preserve their agreement. If it is as if they were making their godlessness, they don't have God, they don't believe in God, into a form of worship of the truth, their misguidance into a form of sincerity, their irreligion into a form of solidarity, their hypocrisy into concord, and thus attaining success. For genuine sincerity, even for the sake of evil, cannot fail to yield result, and whatever man seeks in sincerity, God will grant him. So, people of misguidance, they don't believe in God. They aim at worldly gains, and they have no leverage. So they are weak. They say, look, we have to get together, cooperate, and fight for this objective together. They cooperate because they feel weak and lonely, because they are godless. They don't lean against God, so they feel lonely and weak. How about people of faith? But as for people of guidance and religion, the religious scholars and those who follow the Sufi path, since they rely upon truth and reality, and each of them on the road of truth thinks only of his God, his sustainer, and trust in his, okay, I don't know that word, they derive dignity from their belief. It is so true. You look at men protesting and, pulling his hair, ripping his clothes. You look at his feet, he hasn't got sandals, he hasn't got clothing, he hasn't eaten for the last 7 days. But he's challenging the world. And you think, is this man crazy? Because especially in Western media, there's some crazy Muslim man burning and shouting. They feel extremely strong because they rely on God and they think, look, Allah is on our side. He's all powerful. We are right. We are powerful. So he feels like an army on his own compared to the previous person who doesn't believe in God. He thinks, oh, I'm on my own. I'm weak. I need to cooperate. We need to work in clusters. We need to bring our forces together. Whereas that lone random Muslim guy, I don't know, in some places, challenging the world because he genuinely thinks he's super powerful because he's leaning against infinitely powerful Allah. His God is infinitely powerful, so he is powerful. That's how he feels. He says, I don't need anyone. I don't need anybody's help. I don't need anybody's support. I tawakkaltu ala Allah. I trust God. I trust my Lord. This is the psychology. So when they feel when they feel weakness, they turn not towards men, but towards God. So Muslims, when they're weak, what do? They do 2 rak'ah prayer and they say dua, supplication to Allah Ta'ala. They say, look, I don't need anybody else's support. I turn my face to Allah and ask Him for support. So Bediüzzaman says, when a Muslim feel weakness, they turn not towards other people, but toward God and seek help from Him. On account of difference in outlook, they feel no real need for the aid of the one whose outlook apparently opposes their own and see no need for agreement and unity. People say, "Oh, you need help. Can you go and cooperate with other fellow believers?" And he says, "Nah, I'm fine. I'll just ask Allah to grant me His favors." And he says, "Besides, I'm not really sure about this person. I'm a bit suspicious." Thus, sincerity is chased away and its function disrupted. Now, the only remedy, let's just move this a bit bigger so we can read without glasses. Now, the only remedy for the critical consequences of this awesome, terrible state consists of 9 commands. Command number 1. These are also life principles for believers. Cornerstones for our way of conduct. 9 commands Bediüzzaman calls. The first command, to act positively, that is, out of love for one's own outlook, avoiding enmity for other outlooks, not criticizing them, interfering in their beliefs and sciences, or in any way concerning oneself with them. Okay, so why is this Muslim man not seeking cooperation with the other person? Remember, he said, "Oh, I'm not really sure about what he believes." The first command, he says, as a believer, you act positively, you love your own outlook, you love your own view, own theology, but you don't disrespect others' uh, way of practice, others' theology. This is very common uh, even among the same religion. For example, not every Muslim is equal. So, Muslim is the overarching identity. Everybody's called Muslim, but underneath, you got probably two, arguably three different sections. The first one is Sunni Muslims, second one is Shia Muslims, and the third one is Wahhabis. Technically, they are part of Sunni, but they are quite distinct. Now, let's focus on the first one. You go into Sunni school. Inside that, you got various schools of thought. You got Hanafi, you got Shafi, you got Hanbali, you got Maliki, maybe more. You look at Shia, they got their own schools within that uh, division. You look at Wahhabi, they got their own sub-schools. And people, they like having dispute and fight. The first command is no, act positively. Love your outlook, but don't disrespect other people's outlook. Oh, why are you doing salah like this? Why are you breaking your fast half an hour later? Oh, why are you not coming to Jummah prayer? No, don't say this. Love you the way you live your own religion, but don't dismiss other people's beliefs. They do things differently, but you have to respect. Even though you don't agree, you have to respect. So that is the first command. The second command, to unite within the fold of Islam. Don't have a fight. He is a Muslim. He is a Muslim. I'm a Muslim. Albeit we are fairly different, but the bottom line is that we are all Muslims. I think it also applies to Christians because, the example, the classification of Islam I gave you, you got something even more fractured in Christian world. You got, I don't know, Catholics, Orthodox, I don't know, so many different. You can look at Wikipedia. Very good in terms of understanding how, you know, uh, fragmented they are. But I think the second principle, second command applies to all believers. It says, unite within the fold of Islam. irrespective of particular outlook, remembering those numerous ties of unity that evoke love, brotherhood, and concord. The third command, to adopt the just rule of conduct that the follower of any right outlook has the right to say, my outlook is true or the best, but not that my outlook alone is true or that my outlook alone is good, thus implying the falsity or repugnance of all other outlooks. When I read the Sincerity in RISALE-I NUR, I work in, British modern secular work context. The things I learn from RISALE-I NUR are also applicable in my daily work life. For example, we are a team of 12 people. Everybody is different. And, people come up with different ideas. Someone builds something and other people review it. And sometimes I see there is a bickering going on, there is a fight going on. This guy says, no, this is the best way. The other guy says, no, my way is the best way. And I'm like, I think what I suggest looks good, but I can't completely dismiss yours either. When I say this, the guy says, he takes his guard down and he says, actually, let's have a look at yours one more time. Because he's not on the defense anymore. You see, the way you approach dictates how the other party responds to you. If you walk up to this person, say, the way you do is rubbish, look at the way I do, this is the right way. Oh, that is the beginning of fight, man. You trust me. Whereas if you take this third command from Risale-i Nur and if you say, I think my outlook, my approach is quite good. I'm not saying it is the best, but I think it's worth considering. And trust me, it's human psychology. The other guy says, okay, let's have a look at yours one more time. It's not applicable only to religious matters, it is also applicable in uh, daily life. The fourth command, to consider that union with the people of truth is a cause of divine, certain words I can pronounce, and the high dignity of religion. You should understand, ittihad, unity, is something loved by God. So always keep this in mind. That person could be from different section of Islam, but the bottom line, he's a Muslim. Like you, love you, respect you. Because Allah loves when you and I unite. So keep this in mind. When you unite and help one another, you don't approve his way of belief or you don't disrespect your way of belief. You have your belief, he has his belief, but still you got more common and you unite because you know Allah loves unity. The fifth one, to realize that the individual resistance of the most powerful person against the attacks through its genius of the mighty collective force of the people of misguidance and falsehood, which arise from their solidarity, will inevitably be defeated, and through the union of people of truth to create a joint and collective force, also in order to preserve justice and right in the face of that fearsome collective force of misguidance. So the fifth one is, you should understand you are different, but if you are united, you are more likely to defeat evil. You should keep this in mind. Eight command. I'll just cover these nine and I'll end today's lecture at the third course. Eighth command. Give up the mistaken concept of self-pride. It is a bit like personal development course, isn't it? It is the pride. Why we insist on the way you do things? Oh, it's my pride. Yeah, I'm better. I do the correct way. No, always uh, be skeptical about the way you do things. In the team, 12 people we have. I think I'm the oldest. Uh, I don't necessarily say I'm the wisest. Lots of young people. They are some of them are just fresh off the college and they're really good. And one time I was having this review session with my leader, and I said to her, I said, my position is that I assume everybody knows more than I do. And I'm always open to dismiss my way of thinking. She was like, Hakan, where do you find expression like this? This is amazing. I did human management and stuff, and I can't. I said, I didn't tell her I read RISALE-I NUR. And she was like, wow, amazing. I'll just use this expression. Yeah, that's how you progress in life. Always assume other people know better than you do so that you can improve yourself. If you think my pride, I know the best, well, you can progress. Ninth and the final one, cease from all insignificant feelings aroused by rivalry. You're human beings, you are not rivals, you are all one. If this ninefold rule is adhered to, sincerity will be preserved and its function perfectly performed. Okay, so I'm gonna pause here because we are running out of time. On the next lecture, inshallah, we are gonna carry on from the third cause. As I said, this is not strictly religious lecture. It is also very human, very social life skills that's applicable to different parts of our lives. Thank you for listening. I'll see you on the next one, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum.